Uh, Welcome to the afternoon's webinar. This is going to be all about the DivIT update that we rolled out over the weekend. So we've got some small update items that I'd like to go over, and then I'll do a little bit more time on the new updated web page editor, which I think is one of the things that people are quite excited about in this update. And feel free to raise your hand to ask questions throughout the presentation, or to use that question panel on the webinar control panel. And I also have Matilda Myers on the line, who's from our communications department, and she's going to help me with fielding some of the questions. I've worked with most of the people on the line before, but just for those who possibly haven't worked with me for a bit, my name is Robin Husson, and I'm the Software Support Specialist for the Divisions of Family Practice Provincial Office. So I do lots of training with the different tech solutions that the Provincial Office provides, and I do support whenever people need assistance. So at the end of the webinar, after I've walked through the new system updates, there will be a question period. So if you feel all your questions have been answered by the walkthrough, feel free to log off. Otherwise, stay on and we'll see what questions people have. So let's get started here. The first item that I wanted to walk you through that we updated is the new thread notification. And this is a part of the forums. So if you're using the forums on the website, anytime a user adds a new thread on your forum now, the administrator will receive a notification email. So in order to receive those notifications, you have to have the forum administrator security role on your member profile. So the division administrator security role will not trigger this notification. You do have to have the forum administrator. And here's an example of what this new notification will look like. It's just a new forum thread was created in the subject line, and then there's a link to the forum thread so that you're able to respond to any new forums that come up on your forum. So the second item that we've updated is where we've added more detail in the member profile update emails. So these are the emails that the administrator who has receives member profile update emails security role receives when any member logs into the website and makes changes to their own user profile. So this is, if you have a member who has updated their email address or changed their clinic name or any of those items, they're able to go into their account and change them. And previously, this is the email that the administrator would receive. It would let you know that one of the member profiles was updated, and it would let you know who updated it and on what date. But we were hearing feedback from several divisions that they have secondary documents that have information that it was important to know which of the fields were updated. So in the new version of the update email, you'll see that we've actually included information on which fields were changed. So in this example, I actually went on and I changed my profile on the DivIT system, and I changed the city, the fax number, the pager number, and the division email. And so you'll see on here that there's information that tells you which of these fields was changed. So we'll go on to the next slide here. The third little feature update that we've made is that we've changed some of the login approved checkbox dependencies in the member profile. So to show you this, I'm actually going to go into the website and go into the member section here. And let's just create a new member profile to show you what the update is. So the section I'm referring to is these checkboxes here. Before, you'd be able to go into this profile and check off is login approved right away. And you'll see that right now I can't click on that button. So we've changed it so that you can't check off that button unless people are able to log into the site. So there's a couple kinds of member profiles where the person has information in the system but is not allowed to log in. So some divisions are using the member database as a contacts database as well. So they would have members in here who aren't able to log in. So if I check off is board approved, which is one of the things you need to log in, and I set a member type as physician, which is a member type that is allowed to log in, you'll see the is login approved button is turned on right away. And if I check that off, it will trigger the system to send a login password and username to the person who signed up. Now if I uncheck is board approved, you'll see right away that that deactivates and you're not allowed to log in approve this person. If I check that is board approved button off and change the member type to a guest, which is a member type that does not have login access, then the login approved button again is deactivated. And this is so that you don't accidentally send login information to someone who doesn't have permissions to log into the site, and will hopefully avoid some of that problem. So I will go into the dashboard now. Those are all the small changes to the site. And I will go into the web pages to show everyone the new web page editor. Now we do have a couple people with their hands raised right now. Susan, did you have a question? Hello, Susan?
Hi.
Hi, you have your hand raised. Did you have a question right now?
No. Oh, do I? No, I don't.
Okay, not a problem. I'll just lower your hand for you. And Denise, I notice you also have your hand raised right now. Did you have a question? Hello, Denise?
No, I'm sorry. I don't even know how I raised my hand.
That's okay. We'll just put it down. It will be right beside your name in the list. Now, Jewel, did you have a question? Hello, Jewel? I'm sorry, Jewel. I can't quite hear you. I think you're going to have to speak a little closer to the mic.
Is that a bit better?
I can hear you just a little bit. It's pretty muffled. Do you want to type out your question in the question panel and we'll respond to it in a minute?
Is that better?
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you. Okay. What was your question, Jewel?
Okay. My question was, you mentioned some people use the members as an area where they keep their contacts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those of us that have, which I think most of the divisions have, a collaborative services committee, is there a way that we can allow them to, the members of the committee, to have access to a particular forum, or is that still that they're not able to log in?
Still right now, they're not able to log in unless you give them access to the entire backside of the site. So you could, okay, if you wanted them to have access to the whole backside of the site in order to access a forum, I could set up another member type that was, login enabled, but an external person. But
okay,
that would be something you and I would have to talk about offline and figure out if that's
sure,
an access you wanted to give them.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
No problem. I also see, Ken, you have a question?
Just wondering if you can hear me.
I absolutely can.
Okay.
All right.
Hands down.
I will put you back on mute. If you have any other questions, just let me know.
That's good. Thanks.
So I don't see any other questions at the moment, so let's move on to just starting to go over this web page editor. There will be plenty of time for more questions in a little bit. So I'll go into this example page that I've created, and you'll see that right now there are two buttons here where there used to be just one editor. And this one that says old is a button that allows you to access the old editor if you have a desire to do that. That button will be disappearing within a matter of weeks, but it's just for in case as we're doing the transition you want to go back and refer to it. So if you want it, you can access it still, but be aware it will be disappearing quite quickly. So the new editor is accessible through this edit button as the old one was before. And you'll see once we navigate to this web page revision, right away the first thing you see is the buttons are gone. But they aren't really gone, don't worry. What happens is when you click in the content area you want to edit, the buttons appear at the top of the content area. So if I want to edit something within the body and click as I have here, you'll see that the button bar appears up here. If, on the other hand, I wanted to edit something in the sidebar, I can click in the sidebar and the sidebar button bar will appear. So there won't be any confusion now over which buttons you're using for which area, because only the buttons that you are using for the particular area will show up when you click inside that area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk through the buttons one by one and just give you a quick overview of any changes or new buttons that we've added. So the top row of buttons here, the first few are all the same as before. We've tried to keep them in a very similar order, so they're still quite easy to use. Pardon me, I'm just going to take a drink of water here. Okay, so it starts out with bold, italic, your text justification. So if you wanted this text to be centered, or if you wanted it to be right justified, you can change that. Then we've got numbered lists, you've got a bullet list, and you've got indent and outdent, and that just will indent your text or outdent it back to the regular positioning. So the first real change we've made on the toolbar is we've moved the Insert Table button from the top down to the bottom here. So I will go through this little table manager in just one moment once we get down to this second area, but it just made more sense to have the tables with the other items that you can insert, so links and pictures and documents all in one area. So the next couple buttons again are exactly the same as before. We have a cut and we have a copy button. The next change that we have here is the paste buttons. Before there was a paste button and a paste from Word button, and we've collapsed those into one drop down here with a couple more fun options. So your first option is just your regular paste. So if you've copied any text from another program, you're able to just paste it directly into here. And then we have a paste from Word button. And the paste from Word button is to help you keep formatting from Word. Now if you've ever tried to paste from Word into another kind of document or another editor like this one, you'll have noticed that the formatting doesn't transfer very nicely. Word just doesn't play nicely with a lot of other programs. So if you're trying to transfer your formatting, this is a great button to use, and it will remove some of the extra stuff that's in the background that you can't see that kind of messes with your formatting. Now if that's not working, we've got other buttons here that will actually strip away more of your formatting. So if you paste from Word and strip font, that will actually take the font formatting out of your text, or you can paste plain text, which actually strips out all the formatting and allows you to start with a clean slate and format your text in the editor. And this is what I would recommend, is that you don't try to transfer formatting from another document. It's usually a lot faster and a lot more frustration-free to do all your editing within the web editor. And we have a couple options down here. If you're using HTML, we do have a Paste as HTML or a Paste HTML button. Oops, see, and it disappears if you're not clicked into the content area, so we'll just get the button bar back there. So the next button is the Format Stripper, And this used to be a remove format and a clean up HTML button, which again we've combined into one drop down to just make it a little bit cleaner. So this is if you're having trouble with pasting any of your formatting, your text in from another program like Word, you're able to select that text and actually strip out that formatting. So the two buttons in here that you're probably going to use the most are strip word formatting. So that's specifically if you're pasting things in from Word, this button will help to clean that stuff up, or strip all formatting. So if it's just not working, you can select your text and select this option and just pull all that formatting out and start from fresh. Now the next couple buttons are ones that we've added. So these are buttons that didn't exist in the previous editor, but I'm hoping you'll find them useful. We have this spell check button, which is quite fun. If you click on the button, it will search through your document and find any words that are misspelled and highlight them in yellow. In this one, we only have the one word which is misspelled or just not recognized by the system. So here we have GPSC. And one of the fun features of this spell check is not only can you check your spelling, you can ignore it, or you can add it to the dictionary. So in this case with GPSC, that's an acronym we use relatively often, so I'm going to add it to the dictionary. And the next time we do another check, it shouldn't pick up that word. So the next new button here is a find and replace button. So if we click on that, it's just a simple function that allows you to find items on your page. So if I wanted to find that GPSC thing, I could type in GPSC, click on find, and it would find it for me. Alternatively, there's also this find and replace, which if the GPSC changed their name and I wanted to replace GPSC with GPSCA, I could go through the text and find and replace all of those items. Just be sure to watch the direction here, because if your cursor is somewhere near the bottom of the page and you search down, it will only search that bottom of the page. It won't search from your cursor up. So if you're having any problems with it, just check that direction. So the third button that we've added here is called the Module Manager. Oops, I just clicked the wrong button. And it is got a couple of options here that give you a little bit more information and some things to play with. So this statistics thing refers to the words and character counts down at the bottom of the page here. And you can turn that on or off. So if you don't find it useful, you can absolutely turn it off, or you can go back in and turn it back on. The second option in the Module Manager is this Tag Inspector. And if you've used any sort of HTML or coding, the tags are the bits that are attached to your document or your elements in order to format it. And it shows up down here. So anywhere you click in the document will show you your little tags down here. Again, if that's not useful to you, don't use it. The third option is a Properties Inspector, and this is one that I think some people might find useful. If you turn that on, it adds some space down at the bottom of the page here. And when you click on, say, a link or a photo or anything that has properties, it will show you a snapshot of those properties down here. Now remember, this is only a snapshot of the properties, so if you want to see the full thing of properties, you can right-click and select properties. So I'm seeing a question from Sherry here about styling. Sorry, I just lost the question for a second there. About does the find and replace move through the whole site or just through the page? And it just moves through the page. So it's just, and it isn't even the entire page, it is literally just the section of the page you're in. So if you wanted to do a find and replace search in the body content, you would have to click in there. If you wanted to do a find and replace in the sidebar, you would have to click in the sidebar in order to use it there. So I hope that helps with that, Sherry. And just so I've just finished with the Properties Inspector, and since I'm not going to use it right now, I'm just going to turn it off. And the fourth option here is something that if you're using HTML, would be useful to you, but otherwise don't worry about it. It's just an HTML view that you can view the text that you're working on as well as the HTML at the same time. So again, if that's not useful, just leave it turned off. It'll automatically be turned off. Now the fourth button that we've added here is just a full screen mode. So if you're finding that you're a little bit cramped working within this space, you can change your workspace to a full screen. And to toggle it back, you would just click on that button again. Now I find that particularly helpful in the sidebar region because this can be quite cramped to work within. And again, you can just make it full screen. So obviously the next couple buttons are your typical undo, redo. They also have a little drop down. So you'll see if you click on the undo button, you can actually undo several actions all at once, which is a bit fun. So let's go on to this second row of buttons here. It starts in the same way as the old editor with a link manager. Now the difference here is we used to have another button here that looked like a ship anchor, and that's actually been collapsed into this link manager. So I'm just going to select a piece of text so that I can create a link and click on that manager. And you'll see you now have three options for types of links you want to insert. You can create a hyperlink to any web page, whether it's inside your site or an external page. So I'm just going to type out divisionsbc.ca for our home page. And the really fun thing is you can also create a new target. So this is important because you want to keep people on your website. So if you're directing them to a link that is not a part of your site, you can have them open the link in a new window. And this is just a fun little way that you can keep them on the site at the same time as giving them resources that are on external sites. So what would happen is when they click on the link would open in a new window. And then when they close that, your website is still open in a page. Now the second option for links is your anchor links. And these are links that are on the same page. So if you wanted to create, say, a table of contents, or you wanted to create some sort of snippets of different articles with full articles lower on the page, this is a way to show people just a little bit and then have a link to the full information further down. And there are full instructions on how to do those anchor links in the handbook. I'm not going to go through them now. The third type of link that you can do is a link to an email address. So if I wanted to link everyone to my email address, I could just type it in there and click OK. And that's really all you have to do. So let's just cancel out of there. In order to edit a link, you'll see there's a link down here on this initiatives word already. You can right-click, and again, you'll be able to bring up your properties. If you want to remove a link, just click anywhere in the link and click on this Remove Link button. Now, the next couple buttons are quite similar. We have our Image Manager, our Document Manager, and these are very similar to what they were in the previous editor. To insert the photo, you would just click in your content wherever you want the photo to be placed, and then click on your Image Manager. Now you'll see the setup is slightly different, but as before, you have a list of your photos that have been used on the page previously, and you can reuse them. So if I wanted to use this picture of Alana, I could just click on it. Or if I want to upload a picture from my computer, I can just click on this Upload button, click on Select, and select a photo from here. I think I've got a picture. Oh, there we go. We'll put Matilda on there. And just upload. And then I can change the properties, width, height. I can add a border. Let's make this a bit smaller so that Matilda isn't huge across the page. And I'll just insert. Oops, I selected Alana first, so it's inserted Alana. So there we go. I think my picture of Matilda is actually too large. So we'll just insert Alana for the moment. Yeah, you got off scot-free, Matilda. And then the document manager is very similar. If you want to connect someone to a document they're able to download, whether it's a Word document, an Excel document, or a PDF, any of those documents, you can select text and then click on this document manager. And just like before, if you wanted to upload a new photo, or pardon me, a new document from your computer, you can click on the upload. But I'm going to just insert this document that I used previously, which is my to-do list. Again, just as with the different websites, I would recommend setting your target to a new window. So when someone accesses this document, they are taken to a new window and your current web page is kept open. So I'm just going to insert that document. So now let's, we're at the tables, so let's insert a table. Again, the functionality for this insert table option is very similar to before. So you would click on the table and just drag your cursor over to select how many columns and how many rows you want to insert in your document. So there you go. Now you'll notice it starts out with all the cells collapsed, but once you start typing in some content, so here is my table title, it actually expands to open up for the size of the content you want. I can also take this picture of Alana and put it down here right in the table. Now there's a couple places that you can work on your different properties. You can click right in the table and insert rows, delete rows, insert columns, and delete them. You can also merge cells. So that's kind of a fun one. If I want this table title to be the length of the entire top, I can right-click and merge cells horizontally. So you'll see it actually goes across 2 cells now. And I could keep doing that in order to have it go across the whole top of that table. So now we have a table with a title right across the top and Alana's picture in it. So the tables are, you can also go into, there's a table wizard within the button up here. And this gives you a few more options for properties. But this gets quite complicated, so I'm not going to go into it in depth. So your other options here, we've just got 3 drop-down menus left, and these are some of the things that I enjoy the most because they're the stuff that's really fun. So this first one is just your text styles. So just as in Word or other text editing programs, you're able to select a section of text and assign it a different heading style, which is pre-formatted. So I've just turned my divisions of family practice into an H2, which means a heading 2. And the last 2 are really fun options. They give you the option of inserting pre-formatted items. Now the big difference between the first one, which is called Apply CSS Class, and the second one, which is called Insert Code Snippet, is CSS classes will format the content you already have in your page, whereas your code snippet will replace anything you have selected and you insert your content afterwards. So I'll show you an example. I'm just going to move Alana's picture back up here and select it, and I'm going to use a CSS class to format it. I'm going to select one of these layout ones. Let's do wrap text to the left. And you'll see as soon as I do that, it moves the photo to the right and has the text wrapping around the left. So if I say, oops, I did not mean to delete the photo. So don't do that. I'll just wrap that again. So it actually formats that. Other things that you can use is we have a text caption or different text colors, or a button link that you can create. And again, the instructions on how to use these and how to create your button link are all in the handbook that's been updated. Now, the code snippets, as I said, are things you can insert into your page and then insert content. So I'm just going to insert a couple to show you what they look like. For example, there's a feature box, which creates just a box, and you're able to create your content afterwards and insert pictures and other things in there, which now I've overlapped. The other thing is you can select your text, and you'll see there's a layout option here. So I've selected the text, and when I insert the layout, it actually deletes the content that I've already selected. So you're going to see that you don't want to put the text in first, you want to put it in second. So I'm just going to undo that. There's a couple other fun little parts in there that I can insert. There's a couple different feature boxes, a couple horizontal lines, the layout, a couple links, and these merge fields. And the merge fields actually draw from the information that's already in your database. So if you created that, you could insert something that would always update the communities served that are attached to your division, or a membership directory, or a public calendar part. So this public calendar would always draw from any public events that are set up in your My Calendar part of the DivIT site. So that is pretty much it. The other change on the page is this design used to say normal, but what it is it just shows your regular content. You can also switch it into HTML if that's something you're comfortable working with, or if you wanted to embed a video or something like that. There are instructions in the handbook of how to insert a video into the HTML code on your site. And just to switch it back into your regular side, you just click on Design here. So now that I've made a mess of our page, that is the summary of the different updates that have been made. The new web page editor, we updated to this because there's been some issues with the previous one and some glitches that were happening, and people were finding it frustrating with the way that the web page editor was interacting with our environment. So this new web page editor, we've done a bunch of testing with it, and it doesn't seem to have all those glitches that the previous one did. So, as you start using it, you should notice it's quite a bit more stable and more user-friendly, which we hope will make it a lot nicer to work with and when you're creating your pages. So are there any questions right now? Because that's pretty much it. I don't see any. Oh, Susan, your hand is raised. Let me just unmute you there. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wondered, you can't change the fonts and the colors anymore. You used to be able to right-click on it?
That is no longer a function. If you wanted to make any changes, let me know and we'll talk about it. What we've got set up right now is the official divisions colors. So if there's anything...
It's more...
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, it's more in the emails that I would do it.
Okay. All right, well, let's loop in after this,
okay.
And we'll talk about options for that. Because it is a little bit more limited as far as what special things you're able to do with it, because we've just got more pre-formatted things that are easier to drop in there and make it a bit faster to edit.
Okay.
Okay, was there anyone else who had any questions about the updates or anything else that they think other people would be interested in with the site? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions right now, so I'm going to close things down for today. Thank you very much for attending, and keep me looped in on how things are going as you start to use the new editor. Let me know if you're finding it is more stable, if there's any other tweaks that might be helpful for you. As always, the more feedback I get, the more feedback Matilda gets, the better we can make the site, and the more targeted we can make it towards what everyone needs. So have a wonderful Tuesday, and I'll talk to everyone soon.